Good day everyone. My name is Thea Feldi from Crim 1A. I discuss about the introduction of this subject entitled Introduction to Criminology and Psychology of Crime. First introduction. There is a growing interest in criminology as a field of study as evidenced by the steady increase in the number of students taking up Bachelor of Science in Criminology. As a result, there is also an increase in the number of schools offering criminology program. In fact, even the colleges and universities known for medical sciences, computer-related and technical courses have also opened their doors for criminology students. So ayun, sa kasalukuyan is ang mga kabataan ay maraming gustong kumuha ng kursong criminology. Ang mga school din is padami ng padami ang nag-o-offer ng courses na criminology. Isa na dito sa San Jose del Monte is ang ating school na The Concepcion College. So next, brief history of criminology education in the Philippines. It is the Philippine College of Criminology or the PCCR. It is a pioneer school of criminology in the Philippines. Ang PCCR ang kauna-unahang nag-offer ng course ng criminology. At it is formerly known as Plaridel Education Institution. Started its operation in the month of June 1995 by offering 2-year course. June 11, 1956, it started to offer 4 years course leading to the degree of Bachelor of Science in Criminology. Sobrang bilis ng improvement ng PCCR kasi 1 year lang yung pagitan is nag-open sila ng 4-year courses. Diba? Ang galing. Tapos, June 1972, PCCR established its graduate school offering 2-year program leading to the degree of Master of Arts in Criminology. So, ayun, kung gusto mo pang ituloy yung course mo ng iba pang course, basta tapos mo yung 4-year courses, you can take a Master of Arts in Criminology. Yun. And April 1983, the Doctor Philosophy program was added to its graduate program. So, ayun, PCCR lang yung authorized na mag-open ng Doctor of Philosophy. Ayan. So, next is Criminology as Profession, Republic Act 6506. It is an act creating the Board of Examiners in the Philippines. Approved and became effective on July 1, 1972 according to Section 22 of RA 6506. A criminologist is any person who graduated of degree of criminology who has passed the examination for criminologists and registered such as by the board. Ito yung batas na ipinatupad para sa mga kumuha ng kursong criminology. At syempre kapag naipasa mo yung board exam, ang tawag na sa iyo is criminologist. So next is Republic Act 11131, the Philippine Criminology Profession Act of 2018. It is an act regulating the practice of criminology profession in the Philippines and appropriating funds, therefore repealing the purpose Republic Act number. So ito yung nag-amend or pumalit sa Republic Act 6506 na kasalukuyang ginagamit ng mga nag-take ng criminology course at sa mga magti-take ng board exam. It was approved on November 8, 2018 and signed by our President Rodrigo Duterte. So, to pass the licensure examination for criminologists under RA 11131, a candidate must obtain a weighted average rating of 75% with no less than 60% in any given subject. So, sa RA 6506 is kailangan mong maka 75% pataas. And dito naman sa Republic Act 11131, kailangan mo din makakuha ng 75% na score pataas, pero hindi ka pwedeng makakuha ng 60% pababa in any subject. So, next is, the deferred examinee shall only be allowed to retake once with 2 years from the date of examination. So, so 'di ba, na 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 failed mo yung isang subject. So, kailangan mong mag-retake within 2 years from the date of examination. So, kailangan yung grade na makukuha mo naman doon is not lower than 80%. Kailangan mong maka 80% above to consider to have passed the licensure examination. Next is, if the examinee failed to retake after the lapse of 2 years and failed to get passing mark of 80%, the examiner shall retake all the board subject, and any examinee who failed 3 or more board subjects shall be deemed to have failed board examination. So, ayun nga, kapag na failed mo pa rin yung dalawang retake mo na yon, is babalik, hindi naman babalik, i-retake mo yung all subjects. So, kung hindi pa rin talaga, kung hindi mo pa rin napapas, is meron kasing merong expiration, parang ganun. Meron kang 5 chances to retake the board exams. Kapag hindi mo pa rin yun na pass, is kukuha ka ng certificate of refresher sa CHED. Ganun kaigpit ang RA 11131. Next is career in criminology. Ito yung mga pwede mo pang kunin kapag ikaw ay nakagraduate at nakapasa na ng board exam. First is Police Officer of the Philippine National Police or the PNP. Second, Jail Officer of Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, the BGMP. Ito yung tawag sa'yo is Jail Officer. Ito yung mga nagbabantay ng mga criminals. Fire Officer of the Bureau of Fire Protection, the BFP. Agents of the Philippines Drug Enforcement Agency, the PDEA. Ito yung nagre-represent sa mga nagpe-prevent ng mga nagda-drugs, ganun. Technical personnel of National Bureau of Investigation. Prison guards under the Bureau of Correction or the Bucor. Ito naman yung tawag dito sa sa tawag naman sa tagabantay is the prison guard. Next is private investigators or detectives. Security officer in the private and public institution, criminalists of foreign technicians, and probation officer of the parole of the probation administration of the Department of Justice, and the profession of or instruction of crime.
Good morning, guys. My name is Claire Princess Anka, and this is my part on the reporting for Crim 101 subject. So let's start. Chapter 1. What is the criminology? According to Edwin H. Rutherland, criminology is the entire body of knowledge regarding crimes as a social phenomenon, and it includes within its scope the process of making of laws, of breaking of laws, and society's reaction toward the breaking of the laws. A body of knowledge regarding crimes, criminals, and effort of society to prevent and repress them in a narrow sense. Criminology refers to the study of crimes and criminals. So, ayan po. Sinabi po dito yung crime daw po ay part na po siya talaga ng society natin. Hindi na po siya kumbaga maalis. Part na po Wala, kakambal na po siya ng society, yung mga crimes. So, yun po. The three principal division of criminology. Number 1 po dyan is ethology of crimes, the scientific analysis of the caution of crimes and the criminal behavior. Number 2, sociology of laws, refers the investigation of nature of criminal laws and its administration. Number 3, penology, the study of control of crimes and rehabilitation of offender. So, yun po yung mga principal ng division ng criminology. Nature of characteristic of criminology. Number 1, criminology is an applied science. So, applied science is defined as application of scientific knowledge transferred in the physical environment. Criminology is applied science because criminology as a knowledge has already established universally accepted principle and concept, and these are used by other fields of study. Number 2 rather. Criminology is a social science. Crime exists in a society. Social science is defined as a branch of science that studies the human behavior. Criminology is a social science because it studies crime as a social phenomenon, and crime is a social problem which has a great impact to the society. So po, in-explain naman po kanina yung kung bakit laging kakambal ng crime yung society, kasi hindi na po talaga siya mawawala sa society natin. Number 3, criminology is dynamic, continuously improving. The word dynamic is used to describe something that is always motion and always active. Criminology is nationalistic through the adoption of existing penal laws in a specific country of theory. This means that study of criminology takes into consideration the history, the culture, and the social norms and laws of the country. Crimes are studied in a relation to criminal law applied in the country of place where these crimes are committed. Scope in the study of criminology. Number 1, the study of the original and development criminal laws. Study of the cause and crimes and development of criminals. Number 3, the study of the other science that examine criminal behavior using scientific methods such as A. Criminal demography, the study of relation between criminality and population. B. Criminal epidemiology, the study of relation between environment and criminality. C. Criminal ecology, the study of criminality in a relation to the spatial distribution of the community. D. Criminal physical anthropology, the study of the criminal in the relation to physical contribution of men. E. Criminal psychology, the study of human behavior in a relationship criminality. F. Criminal psychiatry, the study of human mind in a relation to criminality. G. Victimology, the study of the role of the victim commission of a crime. So, yun po yung part ko na nakakataas sa akin. Kaya, again, my name is Claire Princess Anga. And that's all.
Good day, I am Kimberly Palad, and I'm going to discuss the Chapter 2, Crimes and Criminals. Crime refers to an act committed or omitted in violation of public law. Ito yung mga bagay na ginawa mo or hindi mo ginawa pero nakapag-violate ka sa public law. It also refers to an act committed or omitted in violation of public law forbidding or commanding it. It means kahit hindi ikaw yung gumawa, pero ikaw yung nag-utos, considered siya as law violation. Crime of commission, when the act performed is in violation of a law forbidding it. Ito naman yung ginawa mong act is nakapag-violate ng law. Crime of commission yung tawag doon. Crime of omission, when the person failed to perform an act that is commanded by law. Ito naman yung may bagay ka na hindi nagawa, na pinag-uutos ng batas. Crime of omission tawag doon. Without laws that prohibit the act cannot be called crime. This is the essence of Latin principle nullum criminala pena sine lege. It means, in English, there is neither a crime nor punishments without a law. So, triangle of crime or elements of crime. We have desire, capability, and opportunity. Desire, it refers to the wanting of the person to commit the crime. It means, ito yung kagustuhan ng tao para makumit yung isang krimen. Capability, it refers to the ability or the means of the offender to commit the crime. It means, ito yung abilidad ng isang tao para makumit niya yung crime. Example, meron siyang skills, may mga tools siya para magawa niya yung crime na yon. Opportunity, it refers to the physical possibility for crime to be committed. Opportunity, ito yung tamang timing para magawa niya yung isang bagay. Classification of crimes. Legal classifications. We have here number 1, according to law violated. So, felony, offense, and infraction. Felony, violation of the RPCs or revised penal codes. Offense, violation of special laws. Infraction, violation of a city or municipal ordinance. Number 2, according to the manner of committing crime, we have here dolo or deceit and culpa or fault. Yung dolo or deceit, intentional felonies. And sa culpa or fault, unintentional felony siya. Number 3, according to the stage in the commission, we have attempted crimes, frustrated crimes, and consummated crimes. Attempted. The crime is attempted when the offender commenced the commission of a felony directly by overacts and does not perform all the acts of execution which should produce the felony by reason of some cause or accident other than his own spontaneous desistance. So, attempted yung isang krimen kapag planado pero hindi tinamaan ng biktima. Frustrated, when the offender perform all the acts of execution which would produce the felony as a consequence. Frustrated naman yung planado, tinamaan pero hindi napatay. Consummated, when all the elements necessary for its accomplishment and execution are present. Consummated yung tawag kapag nagawa mo lahat ng binabalak mo dun sa isang tao. Kung napatay mo siya, ganun. Number 4, according to plurality, we have simple crimes and complex crimes. Simple crime is a single act constituting only one offense. Simple crime yung tawag sa isang krimen na nagawa mo. Example, robbery. Complex crime is a single act constituting 2 or more grave or less grave felonies or when the offense is a necessary means for committing the other. So, complex crime naman yung tawag kung 2 or more yung crime na nagawa mo. Example, nagnakaw ka, robbery, tapos nang-rape ka. So, ang offense na maano sa'yo is robbery with rape. Ganon. Yun yung complex crime. Number 5, according to gravity, we have grave felonies, less grave felonies, and light felonies. Grave felonies are those to which the law attach the capital punishment or penalties which in any of their period are afflictive. Yung grave felonies, eto yung habang buhay na pagkakakulong, wala nang layaan, ganun. Less grave felonies are those which the law punished with penalties which in their maximum period are correctional. Less grave felonies naman kapag may pwede kang makalaya 1 to 6 years lang yung pagkakakulong mo, ganun. Light felonies are infraction of laws for the commission of which the penalty of arresto menor or a fine not exceeding 200 pesos or both is provided. Light felonies yung tawag kapag days lang yung pagkakakulong mo. Tapos may piyansa pa siya. Ganun. Crimes malainse are acts that are inherently evil. Example neto is murder and robbery. So, crimes mala prohibita are acts which prohibited only because there are laws forbidding such acts. Crimes mala prohibita naman ng tawag kapag nakalabag ka lang sa, kunwari, illegal possession of firearms o kaya traffic violation. Ganun-ganun lang. Criminological classifications of crime. Number 1. According to the result of the crime. We have here acquisitive crime and destructive crime. Acquisitive crime, if the offender acquired or gained something by committing the crime. Acquisitive crime, yung tawag, kapag sa ginawa mong crime is may na-gain ka. Ganon. Examples, robbery, estafa, and bribery. Destructive crime, if the crime result in destruction, damage, or even death. Ito naman, yung nakapinsala ka ng mga ari-ari-anong tao. Ganon. Examples, arson, murder, homicide, damage to property, etc. Number 3. According to the length of time of the commission, we have here instant crimes and episodal crimes. Instant crimes are those crimes that can be committed in a very short time. Ito yung mga krimen na nagagawa lang sa maiksing panahon. Example, theft. Episodal crimes are crimes committed through series of acts or episode and in much longer time. Ito naman yung iba-iba ng parang hindi lang siya saglit na gawa. Parang example nito is kidnapping din and serious illegal detention. White-collar crimes. Crimes committed by those persons belonging to the upper socio-economic status or in the course of his occupational activities. White-collar crimes yung tawag sa mga nag-commit na may power sila, may kapit, ganon. Blue-collar crimes are those crimes committed by ordinary criminals as a means of livelihood. Blue-collar crimes naman yung mga tawag sa mga crimes na nakomit ng mga ordinaryong tao lang. Ganon. So, crime statistic refers to the measure of the level or amount of crimes, compilation of data pertaining to crimes. The measure of the level or amount of crimes. It uses the terms index crime and non-index crime in classifying crimes. Index crimes. Crimes which are sufficiently significant and which occur with sufficient regularity to be meaningful, such as murder, homicide, injury, robbery, theft, and rape. Non-index crime. Crimes that are not classified as index crime. All other crimes not enumerated as index crimes. Non-index crimes, eto yung mga hindi ko nabanggit. Wala sa murder, homicide, injury, robbery, theft, and rape. Yung mga hindi ko nabanggit, yun yung tawag sa non-index crime. So, statistical formula. Number 1, crime solution efficiency or CSE. Percentage of solved cases out of the total number of reported crimes incidents handled by the police for a given period of time. It is a general measure capability or efficiency. Number 2, crime rate is the measure of the rates of occurrence of crime committed in a given area and time. Crime rate describes the number of crimes reported to law enforcement agencies per 100,000 total of population. A crime rate is calculated by dividing the number of reported crimes by the total population, so the result is multiplied by 100,000. So, ito yung crime rate formula. Crime rate is equals to crime volume divided by the total number of population times 100,000. Number 3, the crime volume. On the other hand, it is the number of crime reported as to its classifications, whether index or non-index within a given period. So, crime volume formula. Crime rate times total number of population over 100,000. So number 4, average monthly crime rate or AMCR. The average number of crime incidents occurred per month for every 100,000 inhabitants in a certain area. Variance change, one way of analyzing crime trends. It measures the percentage change over a given period of the time. Number 6, crime trend. Crime trend. A crime trend shows the extent to which crime increase or decrease. This is done by comparing period of the current year with the same period of time. Crime trend, ito yung malalaman mo dito kung tumaas ba or bumaba yung mga crime netong taon or past years, ganun. Example, a municipality experienced 264 index offenses in a previous year and 513 index offenses in the current year. What is the percent of the increase? So, para makuha natin yan, kailangan syempre 153 yung current year index offense. Ima-minor siya sa 264. Yun yung previous year index offense. So, ang equals nila ay 249. So, 249 ang numerical increase. Divide to the previous year is equals to divide to the previous year 264 equals to 0.943 times 100 equals to positive 94%. Classifications of criminals. Number 1, according to etiology. Etiology is a study of causes and reasons kung paano nagawa yung crime. So we have here acute criminal and chronic criminal. Acute criminal is a person who committed crime as a result of reacting to a situation or during a moment of anger or burst of feeling. At acute criminal yung tawag sa crime na nako-commit as a result of reacting situation. Kunwari, nagawa niya yung dahil sa galit, sa ines, ganon. Chronic criminal is one who committed a crime with intent or deliberated thinking. Yung chronic criminal, meron siyang subcategories, which is neurotic criminal and normal criminal. Neurotic criminal lang tawag sa nagsasuffer sa mental disorder. Normal criminal naman, nagagawa niya yung krimen. Dahil may nag-idolize siya ng people na criminal, ganun. Number 2, according to the type of offender. We have ordinary criminals, organized criminals, and professional criminals. According to the type of offender, we have ordinary criminals, organized criminals, and professional criminals. Ordinary criminals, a criminal who engage in crimes which do not require special or technical skills. Ordinary criminals, yung mga ordinaryong criminal lang. Wala silang skills para gumawa ng mas malaki pang krimen, ganon. Organized criminals is one who possess some skills and know-how which enable him to commit and evade detentions. Organized criminals, yun naman yung with skills and di agad na huli. Ganon, parang organized criminals, yung may kapit sa government, ganon. Professional criminals, highly skilled criminals which are engaged in large-scale criminals activities and usually operate in group. Professional criminals, sila yung mga may hawak ng sindikato, ganun. According to criminal activities, we have here accidental, situational, habitual, and professional. Professional criminal, a criminal who earn his living through criminal activities. Professional criminal yung tawag dun sa mga criminal na dun kumukuha ng ikabubuhay sa paggawa ng mga, pagnanakaw, kunwari, ganun. Situational criminal, a person who got involved in criminal act because the situation presented itself. Situational criminal yung tawag sa mga, nadala lang sa sitwasyon, kaya sila nakagawa ng crime, ganun. Habitual criminal, one who repeatedly commits criminal act for different reasons. Habitual criminal yung tawag sa mga nagko-commit ng crime sa iba-ibang dahilan, ganun. Accidental criminal, a person who accidentally violated the law due to some circumstances. Accidental criminal yung tawag sa mga sa mga bagay na accidentally mo lang na violate yung law, ganun. So, ayun na yung Chapter 2.
Chapter 3, Criminal Law. It is impossible to study crimes without studying criminal law because crimes are defined by the criminal law punishing them. This is essence of Latin principles nollum crimen nollum poem sine lege. Stated in English, this principle in criminal law means there is no crime when there is no law punishing the act. In the absence of law, an act cannot be considered illegal and therefore it's not punishable. Imposibleng pag-aralan ng mga krimen nang hindi pinag-aaralan ng batas ng kriminal. Dahil ang krimen ay tinukoy ng batas ng kriminal na pinaparusahan sila. Ito ay kakayahan ng prinsipyong Latin katulad ng nullum crimen nulla poene sine lege. Nakasaad sa English ang prinsipyong ito sa batas ng kriminal ay nangangahulugang walang krimen kung ang kanilang batas ay batas na pinaparusahan ng kilos. Next, criminal law is defined as the branch of the public law which defines crime, treat order natures and provides for their punishment. It also sometimes referred to as penal law. Criminal law naman ay tinukoy bilang ang branch ng pampublikong batas na tumutukoy sa mga krimen, paggamot ng kanilang likas na katangian at nagbigay para sa kanilang parusa. Minsan di ay tinutukoy ito bilang batas sa parusa. Next, Code of Hammurabi. Ang Code ng Hammurabi ay isang koleksyon ng 282 mga patakarang naitatag ang mapamantayan para sa pakikipag-ugnayan sa komersyo at nagtatakda ng multa at mga parusa upang matugunan ang mga kinakailangan ng hustisya. Ang Code ng Hammurabi ay inukit sa isang napakalaking hugis daliri na itim na batong bato. Haligi na inagawa ng mga mananakop at sa wakas ay natagpuan ulit ito noong 1901. Next, the Hittites. Ang mga Hittite ay umiral mga 2 siglo pagkaraan ng paghahari ni Hammurabi at kaluunan ay nasakop nila ang Babylonia. Ang batas ng mga Hittite ay maaari ring na ilalarawan bilang brutal tulad ng Code ng Hammurabi sapagkat ginagamit nila ang kamatayan bilang parusa, maraming mga pagkakasala. Next, Code of Dragon. Code of Dragon na code ito ay ginawa ni Dragon, isang Athenian lawgiver sa Athens, Greece noong ika-7 siglo. Kilala ito bilang sukdulan sa kalubhaan dahil sa matinding parusa nito kahit na mas simpleng mga pagkakasala. Next, Law of Solon. Ang saligang batas ng Solonian ay nilikha ni Solon noong unang bahagi ng ika-6 na siglo. Ipinahayag ni Solon ang isang code ng mga batas na tumatanggap sa buong publiko at pribadong buhay. Ang mga solitaryong epekto na tumagal ng matagal matapos ang kanyang constitution sa ilalim ng mga reforma ni Solon. Lahat ng mga utang ay tinanggal at lahat ng mga alipin ng utang ay napalaya. Next, number 5 is Rome's 12 Table. Ang tawag ng 12 talaan ay ang batas na nakatayo sa pundasyon ng batas Romano. Pinagsama-sama ng mga talahanayan ang mga naunang tradisyon sa isang tumatagal na hanay ng mga batas. Ipinakita sa forum, ang 12 talahanayan ay inilahad ang mga karapatan at tungkulin ng Roman citizen. Revised Penal Code. Isa sa mapagkukunan ng batas kriminal sa Pilipinas ay ang Act bilang 38 at 15. Kung hindi man kilala bilang Revised Penal Code o RPC, naaprubahan ito noong Disyembre 8, 1930 at naging epektibo noong Enero 1, 1932 at nanatiling maipapatupad hanggang sa araw na ito. Maliban sa mga probisyon na nawasak na sa pagpasa ng iba pang mga espesyal na batas sa parusa ng buong taon, ito ay isinalin mula sa orihinal na penal code ng komite na pinunong kautosang pangangasiwaang 74 na inilabas noong Oktubre 18, 1927 ng Kagawaran ng Hustisya. So, next, characteristic of criminal law. Criminal law have a characteristic. Number 1, it is general in application or generality. Ito naman ay ang pagkaloob ng batas na kriminal o batas ng parusa ay dapat na mailapat ng pantay-pantay sa lahat ng tao sa loob ng teritoryo anuman ang kasarian, lahi, nasyonalidad at iba pang personal na pangyayari na may pagkasunod na pagbubuklod. Next, principle of public international law. A. Sovereign or the head of the state. Ang pinuno ng isang soberano malayang estado ay karaniwang kinikilala bilang ang tao na ayon sa saligang batas ng estado na iyon ay naghahari-hari sa kaso sa isang monarkiya o ang pangulo sa kaso ng republika. B. Ambassador, nuncios, accredited by the head of the state. Ito naman ay ang mga embahador, nuncio na kinilala ng pinuno ng estado. Minister residence, letter D. Gobyerno, isang opisyal na inilagay malapit sa soberano at namumuhunan sa pamamahala ng isa sa mga punong sangay ng pamahalaan. Next, letter E, charge the affairs. Ito naman yung siguro singilin di usapin, ganun. Wala akong idea para dyan. Next, treatise or treaty stipulation. Ito naman, pumasok sa Pilipinas at US noong Marso 14, 1947 at na-expired noong Setyembre 6 at 71. Law of preferential application. Kinatawanan ng diplomatiko at kanilang mga tagapaglingkod sa bahay. Next, it is territorial in character or territoriality. Ito naman, bilang sa isang bahagi ng karapatan ng estado sa pag-iwas sa sarili, ang bawat independenteng bansa ay may karapatang ipahayag ang mga batas na ipinatutupad sa loob ng teritoryo nitong jurisdiction. Napapailalim lamang sa limitasyon na ipinataw ng mga kasunduan sa ginustong application at ng patakbo ng international na batas ng mga bansa. A. Philippine Archipelago. Lahat ng ay lupa na binubuo ng Pilipinas. B. Atmosphere water. Lahat ng mga katubigan ng tubig na kumukonekta sa lahat ng mga isla tulad ng bay, ilog at mga ilog. C. Maritime zone. Ang labindalawang limitasyon sa layo ng ating baybayin na sinusukat sa pagtaas ng batas. Next is however there exception to the territorial characters of our PC. One, should commit an offense while on the Philippine ship or airship. Dapat gumawa ng isang paglabag habang nasa barko ng Pilipinas o airship. Should forge or counterfeit any coin or currency note of the Philippines island or obligation and securities issues by the government of the Philippines island. Ito naman yung dapat pikiin ang anumang barya o tala ng pera ng pulo ng Pilipinas o obligasyon o seguridad ng inisyo ng gobyerno ng isla ng Pilipinas. 3. Should be liable for acts connected with the introduction into his island of obligation and security mentioned in the preceding number. Ito naman yung dapat managot para sa mga gawaing na iuugnay sa pagpapakilala sa mga islang ito ng obligasyon at mga seguridad na nabanggit sa anumang numero. Ito na pang-apat, while being public officer or employee should commit an offense in the exercise of their function. Ito, habang pagiging mga opisyal ng publiko o empleyado, dapat gumawa ng isang pagkaasala sa pagpapatupad ng kanilang mga tungkulin. Number 5, should commit any of the crime against the national security and law of nations defined Title 1 of Book 2 of the Code. Ito naman siguro dapat gumawa ng anumang mga krimen laban sa pambansang seguridad at batas ng mga bansa na tinukoy sa pamagat-1 ng ikalawang aklat ng code na ito. 3. It is perspective or prospectivity. Ito ay prospective o prospectivity na wala sino mang maaaring maparusahan para sa kanyang kilos na kapag sa oras ng ginawa niya, ang gawa na ito, hindi pa rin ito napaparusahan ng batas. Gayunpaman, ang batas sa parusa ay maaaring bigyan ng retroactive na epekto kapag sila ay kanais-nais sa akusado. Next, intentional felonies. Dolo of deceit. Dulo ng daya. Culpable felonies, kulpa o kasalanan. Intentional felonies, an act or omission which is malicious or has the intent to do an injury bro another. Isang kilos o pagkukulang na nakakahamak o may hangaring gumawa ng pinsala pa sa iba. Next, freedom of action or voluntaries. The offender must have freely or voluntarily committed the act or omission. Ah, ang nagkasala ay dapat na malaya o kusang loob na ginawa o kilos o pagkukulang. Intelligence. When the offender has the ability to determine what is right and what is wrong and the ability to appreciate the consequence of his act. Siguro intelligence kapag ang nagkasala ay may kakayahang matukoy kung ano ang tama at kung ano ang mali at ang kakayahang pahalagahan ang mga bunga ng kanyang kilos. Next, 3. Intent. Criminal intent. When the person knowingly and purposely committed the crime to obtain the desired result. Kapag ang tao na sadyang gumawa ng krimen upang makuha ang resulta ng pagnanasa. Culpable felonies. Culpable felonies performed without malice and the injury caused by offenders in unintentional. Number 1, freedom of action, kalayaan sa pagkilos. Intelligence, yun naman ay katalinuhan. 3, imprudence and negligence, kawalang kabuluhan at kapabayaan. Imprudence ay tinutukoy bilang kakulangan sa pagkilos o pagkabigo na gawain ang kinakailangan pag-iingat upang maiwasan ang panganib dahil sa pag-iingat na karaniwang kasangkot sa kawalan ng mga kasanayan. Lack of skill. Kailan naganap ang krimen sapagkat ang tao ay walang kinakailangang kasanayan upang maisagawa ng ligtas ang kilos. Negligence ay tinutukoy bilang kakulangan sa pag-unawa o pagkabigo upang makita ang panganib ng karaniwang kasangkot sa kawalan ng pag-iingat. Lack of foresight. Nang ang krimen ay nagresulta ng sanhi ng kawalan ng kakayahan ng tao na mahulaan ang maaring resulta ng kanyang pagkilos. Stages in the commission of felonies. Attempted. Hindi lahat ng mga kilos nagagawa. Frustrated. Lahat ng mga kilos na isinasagawa ng hindi lahat ay nagagawa. Consummated. Lahat ng mga kilos na nagawa ay naroroon. Next, circumstances affecting criminal liability. Justifying circumstances, Article 11. Are those where act of an person said to be according with the law. Ang kung saan ay kilos ng isang tao ay sinasabing naaayon sa batas upang ang nasabing tao ay maipakitang hindi lumalabag sa batas ay malaya mula sa parehong pananagutan sa kriminal at sibil. Exempted circumstances, Article 12. Ay ang mga batayan mula sa exemption mula sa parusa dahil kulang sa ahente ng krimen ang alinman sa mga kondisyon na gawaing kusang loob o nakapabayaan ang kilos. 3. Mitigating circumstances, Article 13. Na ang mga kung mayroon ng komisyon ng krimen ay hindi naganap na malaya mula sa pananagutang kriminal ngunit naglilingkod lamang upang mabawasan ang parusa. 4. Aggravating circumstances na ang mga na kung dumalo sa komisyon ng krimen ay nagsisilbi upang dagdagan ang mga parusa ng walang ng wala parusa ng walang. Gayunpaman lumagpas sa batas sa pamamagitan ng alternative circumstances ay ang mga dapat isaalang-alang na nagpapalubha at nagpapagaan ayon sa likas na katangian at mga epekto ng krimen at iba pang mga kondisyon na dumalo sa komisyon nito.
School of thought refers to the group or belief or ideas that support the specific theory. Isang samahan na sumasapasa na paniniwala sa theory. Theory, set of state and device to explain behavior events or phenomenon, especially one that been repeatedly tested and widely accepted. Theory na tumutukoy sa pag-aaral na kung saan nakakatulong ang explanation. Demonological theory. Assert the person commit wrongful act to the fact that he was possessed by demon. Assert that a person commit wrongful act to the fact that he was possessed by demon. Classical school of criminology. This school of truth is based on the assumption that individuals choose to commit crime, weighing the consequence of their action. Naniniwala na ang bawat tao na may kalayaan. According to classical criminology, individuals have free will. Founder of the classical school of criminology, Cesar Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham. Cesar Beccaria was an Italian criminologist, jurist, philosopher, and politician who considered as the most talented jurist, one of the greatest of the age. Si Cesar Beccaria daw, isang politician, jurist, philosopher. Ang full name niya, Cesar Bonesana Marchesa di Beccaria. Cesar Beccaria, Bonesana Marchesa di Beccaria, best known for his essay on one crime punishment, published in 1764, which presented key ideas on the abolition of torture and legitimate means of extracting confession. Beccaria agreed that the effectiveness of criminal justice depended more on the severity of punishment of its severity. Mas lalo doon nakilala si Cesar Beccaria dahil sa essay sa pinatubad niyang One Crime Punishment, published Beccaria believed that his book contained almost all modern penal reform, but his greatest contribution was the foundation it laid for subsequent change in criminal legislation. His book was influential of the reform of penal code in France, Russia, and it influenced the first amendment to the US Constitution. Effectiveness of criminal justice depends certain of punishment that on severity. Beccaria believed that people want to achieve pleasure and pain. Crime provides some pleasure to the criminal. To deter crime, he believed that one must administer pain in appropriate amount of famous saying, lift the punishment crime. Nakakuha daw ng kasayaan at sakit. Highlights of Cesar Vicaria ideas regarding crime and the criminal justice system. Punishment that go beyond the need of preserving the public safety are in their nature and unjust. Hindi pwede basta parusahan ang tao. Dapat pantay at ang gagawin nito ay ang judge. At ang paparusahan nito ay nagkasala. Criminal law must be clear, silent, and judge must take uniform judgment similar crime. The law must be specify the degree of evidence that will justify the detention of an accused offender prior to his trial. Hello? Importante na meron tayong punishment. Paggamit ang punishment para sa criminal para maiwasan ng commit crime. Accusation must be public false. Accusation must be severely punishment. To torture accused offender to obtain the confession inadmissible. Ito daw inaano nila para daw yung torture para mabilis na mapaamin ang nagkasala. The promptitude of punish is one the most effective curb on crime. The aim of the punishment can only be to prevent the criminal from committing new crime against his countrymen and to keep others from doing likewise. Punishment, therefore, and the method of inflicting them should be chosen in due proportion of the crime, so as to make the most lasting impression on the mind of men. Capital punishment is efficacious and its place should be substitute life imprisonment. In better to prevent crime than punishment them, chief purpose of all good legislation. Importante na meron tayong punishment, paggamit ng punishment para sa kriminal na iwasan ng pag-commit ng crime. Mas okay mag-prevent ng kaysa maparusahan ng taong nag-commit ng crime para maiwasan ang mga tao na gumawa ng philosophic calculus. Purpose utilitarian hedonism which explain that person always in such a way to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Ang contribution ni Jeremy Bentham is to classical criminal is the concept of utilitarianism and the philosophic calculus. Utilitarianism is a philosophy which argues that what is right is the one that would cause the greatest good for the greatest number of the people. Others refers is a great happiness principle of the principle of utility. Utilitarianism greatest happen to great number. From the principle Bentham formulated, the philosophic calculus The physical calculus or the pleasure and pain principle is a theory that proposes that individual will calculate the consequences of the action by weighting the pleasure and the pain he will deserve doing the action. Naniwala din siya, kagaya kay Cesar, na ang tao ay bago mag-commit ng bagay, titigay niya muna o calculus kung ano ba ang mas mabigat, kung mas mabigat ba ang pleasure or pain or consequences na matatanggap ang action. Kapag nakita ng tao na mas mabigat ang pleasure or happiness, ay gagawa siya ng krimen. Neoclassical criminology. This theory modified the doctrine of free will of men may be affected by the other factors and crime is committed due to some compelling reason that prevail. This cause are insanity or others from form or mental disorder and abnormalities, physicalness and immaturity due to tender age of minority and condition that make it possible for the individual to exercise free will entirely in the study or illegal provision in easy term, either mitigating or accepting circumstances. Sa neoclassical criminology, kasi hindi niya tinitignan kung sino gumawa ng krimen. Positivist School of Criminology. The term positivist refers to the method of analysis based on the collection and observable scientific fact. Positive that causes of behavior can be measured or observed. It demands for the scientific proof, thus changing the study of crime and criminals into scientific approach. Positivist School of Criminology, 100 years, and ang Classical School of Criminology nag-aay ng batas at karunungan noong panahon ginamit nila ang scientific method sa pag-aaral ng bawat batas. August Comet, Isidore August Comet, Auguste Maria Francisco Xavier Comte, born January 19, 1798, Montpellier, France, died September 5, 1857, Paris, France. Was French philosopher and sociologist, and is believed to the one who represented the French themes sociology. He was recognized the father of sociology and positivism. Si Auguste Comte ay isang French philosopher at sociology, isa naniwala siya na isa sa gumawa ng French team sociology. Siya ang unang gumamit ng scientific method sa pag-aaral at nagsulat siya ng isang libro na nakaka-impluwensya patungkol sa philosophy of sociology dahil sa kanyang contribution through tinawag siyang father of sociology and positivism. The Unholy Tree of Criminology. Cesar Lombroso. Cesar ay isang medical doctor, isang Italian criminologist, at isang proponent, positive sa paaralang criminology at tinatawag siyang father of modern criminology. Enrico Perry. Enrico Perry. Rafaela Goropalo. So, pinanganak noong November 6, 1835 sa Libona, Italy. Siya siyang physician na nagsilbing ang isa Italian military at isa siyang specialist psychiatrist at isa na din siyang professor of legal medicine in the University of Turin. At habang siya ay nagsisilbi bilang militar, natuklasan niya ang pinakakaiba ng criminals sa noong criminals at non-criminals at kinauuna nag-aral siya ng Institute for the Criminality and became a theorist regarding criminals. Nung panahon ng 1876, nag-publish siya ng libro na tinawag niyang Criminal Man at ang libro niya ay pinagpatuloy sa theory activism at namatay siya noong October 19, 1909 sa Turin, Italy. At na-recognize siyang father of modern criminology. Enrico Perry. Nag-focus siya sa pag-aaral sa pag-influence sa physiological factor to social factor such as economic on crime. Enrico Perry, pinanganak noong February 25, 1856 sa Laborti, Italy. Isa siyang estudyante ni Sir Lombroso. Bago siya maging professor of law, napili siya bilang Italian Parliament at supported sociology. Isa napiling bilang representative sa social and economic factor are the causes of crime. Namatay siya noong April 12, 1929 sa edad na 73. Ayon kay Perry, ang pinagnanais na born criminal na merong consequential predisposition for crime, criminal for mental alteration at habitual criminal ay isang required na habit sa crime, mainly ang occasional criminal ay isang nag-commit. Rafaela Garofalo. Isang Italian jurist sa criminologist, ang ginamit niyang title book noong inilabas niya noong 1885 kagaya lang ni Perry, isa din siyang tagasunod ni Lombroso at na-reject sa doctrine sa classical suit of criminology. Naniniwala din siyang ang crime ay dapat pag-aralan gamit ang scientific method. Tapusin ko lang to.
Sige. Una na kami.
Enrico Perry, 5 types of criminal. Born criminal has consensual predisposition for crime. Insane criminal, suffering from some criminal form and mental hallucination. Habitual criminal, one who was acquired the habit for crime mainly through the effectiveness measure employed the society prevention and prevention of crime. Pangapat, occasional criminal, is the one who commit very insignificant criminal act because he is led as a tray big his condition of life than because the aggressive energy of degenerated personality impels him. Passionate criminal. Ang pang-lima is the who commit crime of passion or revenge. Rafael Garabalo. Italian criminologist and jurist, born November 18, 1851, Naples, Italy, died April 18, 1934, Naples, Italy, nationality Italian, Book of Criminology. He traced the roots of the criminal behavior to the physical feature but to their physiology equivalent which referred to as moral anomalies. He rejected the doctrine of free will, classified criminal as a moderate violent criminal, patient criminal, and lascivious criminal.
Chapter 5: Biological and Psychological Determinism. Personality is biological theories or biological determinism. This refers to the set of choice that point the physical, psychological, and other natural factors as the cause for the omissions of crime of a certain individuals. Ito ay yung mga iba't ibang set ng theory na kung saan ito ay pag-aaral tungkol sa rason kung saan ang tao ay nakakommit ng crime because of physical appearance ng isang tao or sa psychological or anumang natural factors na meron ng isang tao na nakapag-cause ng pag-commit ng crime. These explanations for the existence of criminal traits associate an individual's evolved position to the physical disfigurement. Physiognomy. From the Greek word physis meaning nature and namon meaning judge or interpreter is the practice of assessing a person's character of the personality from their outer appearance, especially the face. Ibig sabihin dito is ginajudge, ayon sa physiognomy is ginajudge mo yung karakteristik ng isang tao depende sa kanyang physical appearance, lalo sa kanyang mukha. The study of facial features in the relations to human behavior. Naniniwala ang physiognomy na ang face natin ay kaugnay sa ating pag-uugali. Giambattista della Porta. Siya ay isang Italian decision founder of human physiognomy. According to him, criminal behavior may be predicted based on facial features. Giambattista. Ayon sa kanya, makikitaan mo agad na may ginawang mali ang isang tao depende sa kanyang facial features. Halimbawa na lang, may nakita kang tao na di ka nais-nais. Matik yung pag-iisipan mo agad ng hindi maganda. Yun, ganun yung ibig sabihin ni Giambattista della Porta. Johann Caspar Lavater, a Swiss theologian who supported the belief of della Porta. He believed that a person's character is revealed through his facial characteristics. Phrenology, criminology, or cranioscopy, the study of external formation of the skull. Ito ay tungkol sa pag-aaral ng external shape or external formation ng bungo ng isang tao na may relasyon sa pag-uugali ng isang individual. Franz Joseph Gall. He was a German neuroanatomist and psychologist who developed cranioscopy. Cranioscopy, the study of the external shape of the skull, relations to the personality, and tendencies towards the criminal behavior. It has certain similarities to another field of the study called phrenology, the study that deals with the relationship between skull. Franz Joseph Gall, pioneer in the study of localizations of mental factions in the brain. He claims as the founder of pseudoscience of phrenology. Gall was an early and important researcher in his field. Isinilang si Franz Joseph Gall noong March 9, 1758 sa Tiberbronn, Germany, namatay noong August 22, 1828 sa Paris, France. Na-impluwensyahan din siya ni Johann Spurzheim Sessors. Johann Caspar Spurzheim. He was a German phrenologist to work an assistant sa nagtrabaho si Johann Caspar Spurzheim kay Franz Joseph Gall as an assistant. He also studied phrenology and believed in his findings. Psychology. So pathotype refers to the study of body build of a person in relation to his temperament and personality, and the type of offense is the most prone to commit. Ernst Kretschmer formulated his own body types: the asthenic, athletic, picnic, and dysplastic. Next natin is William Herbert Sheridan. He formulated his own his body types include ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Psychology or somatotype. According to Kretschmer, asthenic, characterized as thin, small, and weak. Athletic, muscular and strong. Picnic, stout, round, and fat. Dysplastic, combination of two body types. According to Sheldon, the ectomorph is a tall and thin and less social and more intellectual than the other types. The mesomorph have well-developed muscles and an athletic appearance. The endomorph naman is heavy builds and slow-moving. Yung mesomorphic body naman is the large, strong, hard, psych, active, dynamic, assertive, forceful. Yung endomorph naman is fat, round, psych, luxury, slut, consumption. Yung ectomorph body naman is frail, skinny, gangly, psych, introvert, stilt. Yung heredity, ito ay yung transmission of traits from parents to offspring. Richard Louis Dugdale conducted a study of the Jukes family by researching their family tree as a part back 200 years. He discovered that most of the ascendants of the Jukes were criminals. Henry Herbert Goddard, he traced that the descendants of the Martin Kallikak from each of his two wives and found a distinct difference in terms of quality. Number 3 is Charles Bachman Goring. He was an English physician and who published a book entitled The English Convict. He believed that remedial traits can be passed from parents of offspring through the genes. He proposed the individuals who possess criminal characteristics. Yung psychology determinism naman is refers to the theory that attributes criminal behavior of individuals to psychological factors such as emotional and mental problems. Psychologists have considered a variety of possibilities: defective conscience, emotional immaturity, inadequate childhood socializations, maternal deprivation, and poor moral development. Intelligence as a factor in criminality. The class studies of the Duke and Kallikak families were among the first to show that feeble-mindedness, follow intelligence can be inherited and transferred from one generation to the next. Numerous tests were also conducted that been led to the development of the use of IQ tests as a testing procedure for offenders. The very first results seemed to confirm that offenders had a low mental abilities and they were found to be mentally impaired. Yun. So, next natin is Alfred Binet. Siya naman ay a French psychologist who developed the first IQ test. Yung IQ test is the test measures the capacity of individual children to perform tasks or solve problems in relation to the average capacity of their peers. Sigmund Freud. From among the miniatures regarding the relationship of psychology and crime, the psychoanalytic theory of Sigmund Freud is the most notable. The mere mention of his name, the theory that immediately comes to mind in his psychoanalytic theory. Si Sigmund Freud din yung founder of psychoanalysis theory. Yun, known for his psychoanalytic theory. According to him, criminality is caused by the imbalance of the three components of quality: the ID, the ego, and the superego. Yung ID represents the consciousness, biological drives for sex, food, and other life-sustaining necessities. It follows the pleasure principle. Yung ego naman is the part of personality that compensates for this demand of the ID by helping the individual guide his or her action to remain within the boundaries of social convention. It is also known as reality principle. Yung superego naman is, it is the moral aspect of an individual personality. It is the conscience. Sigmund Freud suggested that criminality may result from an overactive conscience that result in excessive guilt feelings. It effect in the character formation of the delinquent drive them to satisfy their desire at once regardless of the consequence.
Hello, my name is Joshua Mendez Atanasio. At ito yung report ko sa sociological determinism. Sociological theories. Sociological factors refers to things, placed in people with whom we come in contact with and which play a part in determining our actions and conduct. These causes may bring about the development of criminal behavior. Dito, nagkakaroon tayo ng criminal behavior sa mga taong nakakasalamuhan natin sa araw-araw. Kung paano natin na kukuha yung mga behavior nila na mali, tapos napaprocess natin to sa sarili natin na hindi natin akalain na nagiging ganun na rin pala tayo katulad nila. Yung society kasi nagkakaroon ng malaking impact sa tao kung paano siya mag-isip. Emile Durkheim, a French sociologist who published his dissertation called The Division of Labor in Society. He stated that crime is a normal part of society. It's just like the birth and death. Ang crime daw is part na ng society yun. Hindi na siya mawawala. Kasi nga, dahil dito sa sinabi niya, propose the concept of enemy or the absence of social norms. It is characterized by disorder due to lack of common values shared by individuals, lack of respect for authority, and lack of appreciation for what is acceptable in society. Meron kasi mga taong hindi nila kayang unawaan yung mga bagay na simple lang. For them, mali. Kahit pag pinagsabihan mo sila, sa tingin nila mali yun, kahit yun naman yung tama. Kasi nga, lack of shared values by individuals. Gabriel Tarde introduced the theory of imitation, which proposes the process by which people became criminal. Yung mga tao nagagawang gayahin yung ugali ng ibang tao. Kasi yun yung sa tingin nilang tama. Yun yung sa tingin nilang dapat gawin, yun yung maangas tignan. Kaya nagkakaroon ng behavior na hindi maganda. Adolphe Quetelet and Andre Michel Giri, founder of Cartographic School of Criminology, founder of Moral Statistics. Cartographic School of Criminology made use of statistical data such as population, age, gender, occupation, religious affiliation, and social economic states, and studies their influence in relationship to criminality. The study also found connection between climate, weather, and geographical location to the tendencies to commit crimes of certain individuals. Modern sociological theories of crime causations. Environmental factors such as the kind of rearing of family upbringing, quality of teaching in school, influence of peers and friends, conditions of the neighborhood, economic, and the other societal factors are believed to contributory to the criminal behavior. Nagkakaroon tayo ng criminal behavior dahil din sa pamilya, kung anong klaseng pamilya yung kinalakihan natin, magulo ba, din sa school, paano ba magturo sa school, tinatama ka ba or puro turo lang, tapos influence of friends, anong klaseng kaibigan ba meron ka, baka naninigarilyo, then natuto ka na rin manigarilyo, na-adapt mo yung mga ugali nila. Tapos social structure theory refers not only to the physical features of community but also to the way society is organized. Includes such as things as level of poverty, unemployment, and amount of crowded housing, which are believed to affect behavior and attitude of individuals, which turn contribute to their commission of crime. Diba? Kasi kadalasan gano'n naman. Ganito nga sabi niya, unemployment and crowded housing, squatter. Kadalasan talaga sa mga squatter area, doon magulo. Doon may away, doon may mga magnanakaw, mga nagtitinda ng shabu. sila kadalasan yung nagkakaroon ng ganong klaseng behavior kasi yun yung kinalakihan nila, yun yung sa tingin nila tama. Also called social environment. Include social disorganization theory, string theory, cultural deviance theory. Social disorganization theory, popularized by Clifford Shaw and Henry Mackay. According to this theory, crimes in urban areas are more prevalent because residents have a more impersonal relation with each other. Increase the blah blah. Kadalasan, sabi nga, sa urban area dito, sa mga lugar na dikit-dikit, dito kadalasan may mga magulo. Kasi bakit? Yun nga, dikit-dikit. For example, may ingay yung kapitbahay kasi nagbibideo okay. Yun yung dahilan kasi dikit-dikit tayo, nagpagawa ng ganito si ano, maingay, magrereklamo si ganito kasi nga dikit-dikit. Then, yung strain theory. Strain refers to the individual's frustration, anger, and resentment. Holds that crime is function of the conflict between the goals people have the means they can use to legally obtain. Okay, ang strain theory is yung mga taong may goals sila sa sarili nila pero feeling nila napakalabo nun para for them na ma-achieve. So, ang ginagawa nila yun illegally. Ginagawa nila illegal. For example, gusto lang magkaroon ng magandang cellphone, wala silang trabaho. Nangangarap sila magkaroon ng magandang cellphone, wala silang trabaho. Anong gagawin nila? So, ginagawa na lang nila, gumagawa sila ng crime para lang ma-achieve yung goal nila na yun, which is mali. Cultural deviance theory, combination of social and strain, give emphasis on the concept of subculture. Example, subculture, yung society, for example, sa isang society, gumagawa sila ng sarili nilang rules kasi yun yung lugar na meron sila. For example, mahirap na squatter area, ganyan. So, ang nagiging kadalasang hanap buhay ng iba dyan, illegal. Nasa tingin nila yun yung tama kasi sabi nga nila, mahirap kami, hindi kami mayaman. So, ito lang yung mga pamamaraan na alam nila para kumita ng pera na sa tingin nila tama. Social process theory refers to a group of theories which point to the individual socialization process as the cause for the commission of crimes. These theories cite interaction with people, experience, exposure to different elements in the environment as primary factors to criminality. Under this theory is social learning theory, which then has three sub-theories: differential association theory, differential reinforcement theory, and neutralization theory. Differential association theory, formulated by Edwin Sutherland. This theory states that criminal behavior is learned through socialization. Criminal behavior is learned in interaction with other person in process of communication. Yung differential association theory daw, ang isang tao nade-develop niya ang criminal behavior through friends, sa society. In general, in society, yung mga tao nakakasalamuhan niya, magaganda ba yung ginagawa ng mga nakakasalamuhan niya or mali, mga nagmamariwana, ganun. Syempre, kung ganun yung circle mo, automatic, ganun ka rin. Kaya in the long run, pagtanda, mali ang ginagawa. Nagkakaroon ng criminal behavior. Differential reinforcement theory. In 1965, Ronald Akers, as assistant professor at the University of Washington, differential reinforcement theory. According to this theory, individual's behavior depends on how people around him react towards his behavior. An act this reward is repeated, an act that is punished will be avoided. Okay, kadalasan dito, pagbata pa lang. Kapag bata pa lang na hindi na napagsasabihan ng tama, pag may ginawa siyang mali, tapos pinagtanggol mo pa, yung bata, syempre akala niya yun yung tama. Na pag lumaki siya, nade-develop yun. Kaso nga lang, pag lumalaki siya, mas lumalala na rin yung mga ginagawa niyang mali na nung bata pa lang sana siya, naitama na. Neutralization theory, introduced by David Matza and Gresham Syke, sometimes referred to as drift theory. According to this theory, people know when they are doing something wrong. However, they rationalize and justify their actions. This rationalizing is what we call neutralization. Ang neutralization is kapag ang isang tao alam naman nila mali ang ginagawa nila, pero pinipilit nila sa sarili ng tama. Kasi pinagtatanggol nila yung sarili nila. For example, nagnakaw siya. Mali ang pagnanakaw kasi that's a crime. Pero para sa kanya, nagnakaw ako kasi gutom ako. Okay? Which is mali pa rin. Social reaction theory, more commonly called labeling theory. It states that people become criminals when significant members of society label them as such they accept those labels as personal identity. Social reaction theory is when kapag ang isang tao or isang society nililabel ka na ganito, then ikaw tinatanggap mo na lang na yun ka. For example, addict ka kasi mukha kang addict. Payat ka, itsura mo mukhang addict kahit hindi ka naman talaga addict. Nililabel ka lang addict ka. So ikaw mahina yung mo sa sarili. Ginawa mo, nagpaka-addict ka na lang din talaga. Sumama ka sa mga taong gumagawa ng gantong hindi maganda. Tinanggap mo na sa sarili mo. Social control theory. Maintain that everyone has the potential to become criminal, but most people are controlled by their bonds to society. Lahat naman ng tao kayang mag-commit ng crime. Lahat ng tao kayang gumawa ng hindi maganda. Pero, hindi lahat ng tao merong bonds na kung tawagin natin yung bonds na yun yung mga pangaral ba? Pangaral ng school, family, syempre yung government kasi nga may law. So, may mga tao na mas lamang pa rin sa kanila yon, so hindi sila nagko-commit ng crime. These are two sub-theories, containment theories and social bond theory. Containment theory, proposed by Walter Reckless, stated that inner and outer containments help prevent juvenile offending. He pressures and pulls towards delinquency are everywhere. Containment means the force within the outside the individual has the power to influence his action. Inner containment includes positive self-concept, tolerance for frustration, and ability to set realistic goals. Outer containments include family, friends, low social position that can control behavior. Social bond theory, propagated by Travis Hirschi. This theory views crime as a result of individuals with weakened bonds to social institutions. According to this theory, there are 4 elements of social bonds: attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. Attachment refers to the degree of which an individual care about the opinion of others. Yung attachment is yung paano mo tignan yung mga sinasabi sa'yo ng tao. Nagpapa-apekto ka ba sa mga sinasabi nila? And yung mga sinasabi ba nila sa'yo, nasasaktan ka, and ginagawa mo na lang din yung mga sinasabi nila sa'yo. Ang commitment refers to an individual's investment of energy and emotion in conventional pursuits such as getting good grades. Yung commitment, yun yung commitment. Pag sabi mo sa sarili mo na magtatrabaho ka maayos kasi may pamilya ka, yun yung commitment. Pero kapag yung hindi ka nagtrabaho na maayos, nagbarkada ka pa, bawat sahod mo, pinangiinom mo lang, hindi siya commitment kasi hindi mo siya ginagawa para dun talaga sa pamilya mo, which is yung goal mo. Individual refers to the amount of time an individual spends on conventional pursuit. belief refers to the acceptance of norms of conventional society. And that's my report. Thank you.
Hello po, I'm JB Gonzalez from Crim 1A. Ito po ang aking presentation from Chapter 7, Victimology. Traditionally, criminology focuses in the individuals who pretend the crime. The criminals, however, starting the 1940s, a new approach was introduced which gave an added dimension to this field of study. This approach enveloped the study of the victims of criminals and it's called victimology. Brief history of victimology. Benjamin Mendelssohn, who coined the term victimology in 1940s, he was lawyer from Branches, Romaine, who developed the scientific method from study of criminal act of victimized biopsychosocial data on the criminal, the victim, and the criminal. Ito po yung ginawang clarification of Mendelssohn. According to Mendelssohn, 6 clarification of victim according to Mendelssohn. Innocent victim, someone who did not contribute the victimization and is in the wrong place at the time. This is the victim we most often invention when thinking about enhancing victim right. Victim without minor guilt does not actively participate in the victimization but contribute to it in some minor degree, such as frequenting high crime areas. This would be a person that continues to go to a bar that I know from nightly assault. The guilty victim offender. Victim and offender may have engaged in criminal activity together. This would be 2 people attempt to steal a car, rob a store, sell drugs, etc. Those who are in accessory to the crime fall within this category. They actually help without the victimization. Guilty offender, guilty victim. The victim may have been the primary attacker, but the offender won the fight. Guilty victim, the victim instigated the conflict but is killed in self-defense. An example, will be an abused woman killing her partner. Will he use abusing her? Imaginary victim. Some people pretend to be victim and are not. This would be some falsifying reports, suffering from mentalness disorders, who believe they are victims. Hans von Hentig, a German scholar who taught at the university in the United States. He wrote an article called The Criminal and His Victims and published in 1941. He also developed his own typology consisting of 13 categories based on physiological, social, and biological factors, psychological, social, and biological factors, in constant to Mendelssohn's categories guilt, responsibility. Recognized as the father of victimology, but in other textbooks credit Mendelssohn. Von Hentig Hentig's victim typology. The young people. Von Hentig was referring to children and infants. From a contemporary point of view, children are physically weaker, have less mental prowess, have fewer legal rights, and are economical dependent of their caretaker, parents, guardian, teacher, and so forth. They also have a potential to be exposed to a wider range of harm that adult. Moreover, they are less able to defend themselves and sometimes less likely to be believed should they seek assistance. They include children who suffer emotional, physical, and sexual abuse at home because of abused parents, children who are bullied at school because of some effect on their appearance or personality, and children who are forced into prostitution or sold into slaves by personality impoverished parent. Each suffer different level and frequencies of exposure to different kind of harm. The female was suffering to all women from contemporary points of view. Many women are physically weaker than men. Many have been culturally conditioned to varying degrees to accept male authority. Many women are financially depend on their men, their lives, father, husband, and so forth. To make matter worse, many Western women are conditioned to believe that their value is coincided with their bodies or physically, their sexually. In extreme cases, this can lead to low self-esteem, depression, substance abuse, promiscuity, of prostitution, with varying exposure to harm. The old. Hentig was referring to elderly in the complementary sense. They have many of same variabilities as children. They are often physically weaker, mentally less, physically and maybe under some less care. This can expose them to range of harm from the left of personal property to physical abuse. However, they are also particularly vulnerable to confidence scams, as they can have great access to money along with poor memories and sense of pride that may combine to prevent them from reporting loss. The mentally defective and deranged. Hentig was referring to the feeble-minded, the insane, drug addict, and alcoholic. Those who are suffering from any of these conditions have unaltered perfection of reality. As a consequence, depending on their level of affliction, personality, and environment, this potential victim may harm themselves and others to varying degree. They may also suffer many of the same general kinds of exposure as children and the elderly. Immigrants. Hentig was referring to foreigner unfamiliar with given culture, annoying traveling to to a culture different from their own is subject to varying gaps communication and comprehension. This can depending on where they go home. They encounter exposed to all manners of confident, shame, stiff, and abuse to say nothing of prejudice. Minorities. Hensig was referring to the racially disadvantaged. As he put it, what this truly means, it prejudice group against which there is some amount of bias or prejudice by other may be exposed to very varying level of abuse and violence. Dull normal. Hentig was referring to simple-minded person as he put it. From in contemporary viewpoints, we might consider this as having the same types of exposure to harm as those who are mentally defective and degraded. Simple-minded is someone who is unsophisticated, foolish, of mental impaired. An example of someone who would be described as simple-minded is a person who cannot understand or grasp more concepts and who is lacking in besides adjective. The depressed. Hentig were referring to those with various physical, logical maladies. From contemporary viewpoint, those who are depressed may expose themselves to all manner of degree intentional and otherwise. Additionally, they may take psychotropic medication that alters perception, affect judgment, and impairs reasoning. The acquisitive. Hentig was referring to those who are greedy and looking for quick gain. Such individuals may suspend their judgment or internationally put themselves in dangerous situation in order to achieve their goals. The lonesome of heartbroken. Hentig was referring to widowers and those in mourning. From a contemporary standpoint, loneliness and is at epidemic proportion more than said from marriages ending of divorce. This category does not apply only to those mourning those who are lonely or heartbroken, are prone to substance abuse and can be easy prey for conmen, the abuse and the manipulative. The tormentor. Hentig was referring to the abusive parents. In the contemporary terms, there are abusive caretaker, intimates, and family members of all kinds. All such abuses expose themselves to the harm they inflict. The resulting against and the degree to which their victim fight back. For example, an abused mother who gets drunk and punch a child expose herself to the danger of injuring her hand, of misjudging her strike and even balance, and of the child punching back. The blocking exempted or right. Hentig was referring to victim of blackmail, extortion, confidence, scam in contemporary times. Such victims are all exposed to continual financial loss or physical harm, or most suffering the consequences that came from bringing the police into assist. In such case, the attention of law enforcement and any subsequent may be very think that the victim wishes to. Ito po yung bali 12 lang po, di po nasama yung isa po na ginawa ni Hans von Hentig. Stephen Scapper. He wrote the first textbook written about victim and was published in 1968, entitled Restitution to Victim of Crime. He also wrote book entitled The Victim and His Criminal. Scapper was the lawyer born in Budapest, Hungary, who taught criminology of politics, Central London, now called University of Westminster. He also a professor of psychology at Northern West University in Boston, Massachusetts. Type of victim according to Scapper. Scapper proposed 7 types of victim: possibility of victim precipitation, which are essentially a variation of the work of von Hentig. Unrelated victim, no victim responsibility. Provocative victim, victim share responsibility. Precipitative victim, some degree of responsibility. Biological weak victim, no responsibility. Social weak victim, total victim responsibility. Political victim, no responsibility. Victimology. It is the study of victimization, including the relationship between the victim offender and the interaction between victim criminal justice system. It also defined as the systematic study of the physical, emotional, and financial harm people suffering because of illegal activities. Victim is a person to whom the crime was committed. Is also referred to as the complainant or offender party. Victims can either direct or primary victim or indirect or secondary victim. Direct of primary victim is a person who was actually harmed because of the commission of the offender. Victims of rape, robbery, physical injury are some example of direct or primary victims. Indirect or secondary victim refers to the family or loved ones of the victim, such in the case of murder, homicide. Victim typology refers to the classification of victim based on the type of crime usually committed or likely to be committed against, then based on their demographic profile such as gender, age, occupation, location, and residence or place of work, and the like. Traditional concept of victim. Offender relationship refers to the relationship with the offender and vice versa. It could be the victim personality. Now the offender may be actually related to him by blood, or they may become worker, neighbors, and classmates, or even in a relationship with each other. This relationship could be fact as to why he or she was victimized by the offender. Victim facilitation. This happens when the victim unknowingly, carelessly, negligently, and inadvertently make it easier for the criminal to commit a crime. A culpability or provocation. The victim culpability or provocation, the victim is to be considered to even more responsibility for the crime than the offender himself. Victim resistance refers to the effort of the victim to fight off or repel the offender. Some victims are strong enough to fight back, such as males with good body build or who possess some knowledge and skill in self-defense. In like manner, females are generally considered physically weaker, which make them easy target of offender. Some people are emotionally weaker, given easily to the demand of the offender, while some people a strong will power to risk. Victim vulnerability refers to the tendency to become victimized without any fault of this part. Such person can easily become victim because of the person's circumstances, such as age and state of mental health. Victim blame. It is a very common there to hurt people blame victim for the crime committed against him. Sometimes even the victim blames himself. In some ways, this is good because it shows that people where that crime can be provided in the project protect ourselves from criminals. However, this can also negative things because when we start blaming the victim when it also like removing the blame to the offender, this can make offender feel it's your fault that they victimize you. Victim pattern. The age, gender, martial status, education, background level of intellect, income, occupational lifestyle or habits. Victim offender relationship and econology are some of the factors that affect victimization risk. Result of various studies reveal in this term of gender, males are more likely to become victim robbery and physical injury. In terms income from economic status, the poor are most likely to become victims of the crimes because they live in the area that are crime prone. In terms of martial status, the unmarried or never been married individual are victimized more often than married people. This could be because married people tend to have more stable routine than less active social lives. Econology refers to the locally or place of commission of crime. According to statistics, victimization occurs more in large urban areas and the rural areas. Ayun lang po at maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig kahit po ito'y medyo magulo. Thank you po.
Okay, today I have discussed about the chapter 8, a criminal psychology. First, as I mentioned in chapter 1, criminology integrates knowledge from many fields and One of the sciences included in the scope of the study of criminology is criminal psychology. Criminal psychology is a subfield of psychology. First, criminal psychology is defined as the study of human behavior in relation to criminal by Maglinaw 2006. To understand criminal psychology better, it is necessary to have a familiarity with the basic principles and concepts of general psychology. First, because criminal psychology is the application of the principles of general psychology to understand the criminal behavior. So when we say criminal psychology, it is the scientific method study of the behavior of criminal. First, define the psychology. Psychology is the systematic, scientific study of behaviors and mental processes. Behavior refers to observable actions or responses, while mental processes, which are not directly observable, refer to a wide range of complex mental processes such as thinking, imagining, study, and dreaming. Okay, when we say psychology, it is observables of actions of a persons. Simply put, behaviors are actions that can be seen because there are physical actions involved like walking, dancing, speaking, and others. Mental process, however, cannot be seen because these take place only in the mind. Examples of these are remembering, fantasizing. The study of emotions and personality are also included in the psychology. Okay, when we say mental process, it is those not directly and cannot be seen. And when we say the behavior, it is observable action that can be seen to a person. Okay? Second, another area of the studying psychology is abnormal behavior. Abnormal behavior, and it's called abnormal psychology. Abnormal psychology is the study of maladjustments among mental, social, and emotional divides by Evangelista 2000. Here, mental disorders are studied as to their causes, classification, and treatment. Naturally, the mental health of a person can affect his behavior. Mental health refers to the individual's state of adjustment to himself and to his environment with a maximum of effectiveness and satisfaction. Good mental health has been used synonymously with a phrase well adjusted by Bustos 1999. A person suffering from a mental disorder is not expected to behave like a normal person, and this could lead to criminal behavior. So basically, what psychology teaches is the person acts or behaves a certain way because he is influenced by the different factors that causes him to act or behave. The way and psychology explains the causes of this behavior. So when we say adjustment and frustration, it is a mechanism of individual. So adjustment, it is the continuous. We have inner and outer. That inner, ito yung na-overcome, kung paano natin na-overcome yung problema. So yung after, ito yung kinokontrol tayo ng iba para sa sarili natin. Frustration, ito yung hindi tayo na-satisfy, hindi natin nakuha yung gusto natin. So, criminal psychology. In criminal psychology, what is studied are the behaviors and thought processes of persons who committed crimes. It tries to explain the mind of the criminal. It aims to know what was going on in a person's mind that made he commit the crime. It explores the different psychology factors that causes people to violate the law and resort to criminal behavior. Okay? Dito na tayo sa Emotional problem. Okay? So, dito sa criminal psychology, ito yung personality briefly discussed on chapter 5, yung kay Sigmund Freud, which is the understanding psychology, the determinism. Okay? Yung id, ego, and superego. Okay? Emotional problem. Emotional problem is another causes of criminality. A person's inability to cope with a frustration, complex challenges, and difficulties of life can lead him to act. Emotions can affect mental process. His failure to control these emotions could also lead to criminal behavior. This is where the concept of adjustment, frustration, and defense mechanism are useful in understanding criminals' behavior. There are normal reactions of frustrations. Reactions that help individuals to successfully cope with frustration. However, there are also abnormal reactions, and these abnormal reactions lead to unacceptable behaviors and sometimes even result in development of a mental disorder in the person. A person who is suffering from any mental disorder is not acting normally and rationally. His thought processes are affected by such mental disorder, and this might cause him to behave in an unacceptable way, sometimes even leading to commissions of crime. So, when we say emotional problem, it is person that no ability to handle the difficulties, challenges in life. The reason why they do a crime. And meron silang mga negative emotion, negative thinking, na hindi talaga nila kayang panghawakan or i-control. Okay? Abnormal reaction to frustration. Neurosis and psychosis are abnormal reaction to frustration by Bustos 1999. When we say neurosis is a mild form of mental disorder that can usually be cured by therapy. When we say neurosis, ito yung mild lang yung kanyang nararamdaman, hindi pa ganun kalala. So, when we say psychosis, ito naman yung hindi niya na talaga kayang i-control, hindi na siya nagagamot, kaya need na siya dalhin sa mental. Hindi gaya ng neurosis, pwede pa i-therapy, pwede pa i-control, or dito na gamutin pa unti. So, we have classification of mental disorder. Mental disorder, when we say, it is generally defined as prolonged or recurring problem that seriously interferes with an individual's ability to live a satisfying personal life. And the term mental disorder is generic term that refers to all forms of mental illness and abnormalities. However, there is what it is called the Diagnosis and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder. Okay? So, here we have schizophrenia and other psychotic disorder. So, first is defined schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, it is a severe form of psychosis. So, ayun nga, sobrang malala nga na mental disorder. Hallucination, delusions, and disorganized behavior are some of the psychotic symptoms of this disorder. Schizophrenia has several subcategories. Which one? Paranoid schizophrenia. When we say paranoid schizophrenia, it is characterized by auditory hallucinations and delusions. So, here, what is hallucinations? It is our sensory experience without any stimulation from the environment. So, okay, dito na tayo sa delusions. are irrational beliefs. When we say delusions, ito yung maling paniniwala. Okay? Irrational. Okay, dito na tayo sa... Okay? Dito tayo delusions of grandeur. When we say delusion of grandeur or grandiose delusions, it is a kind of delusion where the person believes that he is better than everybody or that he can do everything because he has special powers or abilities. Ito yung mga taong naniniwala na mas magaling sila sa ibang tao at meron silang kakayahan, meron silang powers na nagagawa nilang isang bagay na hindi daw nagagawa ng iba. Okay, may na tayo dito sa delusions of beliefs. Delusions are false beliefs. When we say delusions are false beliefs, ito yung may okay. Auditory hallucinations. When we say hallucinations, auditory, ito yung nakakarinig ka na hindi naririnig ng iba. Pag sinabi naman natin visual hallucination, ito yung nakakakita ka na hindi naman din nakikita ng iba. Okay? When we say disorganized schizophrenia, it is marked by bizarre ideas, often about one's body, confused speech, childish behavior, great emotional swings, and often scream, neglect of personal appearance and hygiene. Pag sinabi natin disorganized schizophrenia, ito yung isang tao na nagiging childish, nagiging isip bata, or parang wala na siyang pakialam sa sarili niya kahit na ang dumi-dumi niya na, ang baboy na ng itsura niya. So, dito naman tayo sa mood disorder. When we say mood disorder, it is a prolonged and disturbed emotional state that affects almost all of person's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors by Plotnik 2007. Depression and bipolar disorder are example of disorders. So, okay, dito tayo sa depression. Okay, pag sinabi naman natin depression, ito yung a mental disorder characterized by an all-encompassing low mood, accompanied by low self-esteem and by loss of interest of pleasure in normal, enjoyable activities. Okay, pag sinabi naman natin na depression, ito yung naapektuhan yung thoughts or feelings natin. Kasi nga nade-depress tayo sa isang bagay. Okay, when we say, okay, yun yung nawawala na tayo ng interest sa isang bagay or natawag natin pleasure, na kung dati ang saya-saya natin pagka na ganito, ganyan, pero ngayon parang baliwala na lang kasi nadidepress nga tayo. Okay, when we say bipolar disorder, on the hand, is marked by fluctuations between episodes of depressions and mania. Plotnik 2007. Mania is defined as a feeling or extreme excitement or elation. A person with bipolar disorder would feel extremely happy for a period of time and then wake up following day feeling very low and depressed for no apparent reason. Okay, ito naman yung sa bipolar. Pagka yung isang tao na bipolar siya, ito yung nawawalan siya ng excitement sa isang bagay or nawawala na lang siya bigla sa isang mood kasi nga siguro nalulungkot siya or hindi niya talaga makontrol yung bagay na iniisip niya, okay? Anxiety disorder. Disorder are characterized by psychological signs of anxiety and feelings of tension, apprehension, and fear by Plotnik 2007. Phobias and excessive compulsive disorder are the commonly known as anxiety disorder. Okay. Okay. Phobia. Pag sinabi natin phobia, ito yung characterized by an intense and irrational fear that is out of all proportion to the possible danger of the object or the situation. Pag sinabi naman natin na phobia, ito yung makita lang natin yung isang bagay na natatakot na agad tayo, or halimbawa sabihin natin na takot ka sa tubig, sa matataas, sa masisikip na bagay, sa dito, takot ka sa dilim, or kung saan man na masasabi mo na phobia siya kapag nakita mo ng isang bagay, umaatras ka agad. An obsessive-compulsive disorder, characterized by the presence of persistent, unreasonable ideas or action. Obsession is useless and irrational idea consciousness of an individual. Okay, dito na tayo sa personality disorder. Okay, when we say personality disorder, okay, ito yung distrust to others. Ito yung nawawalan ka na ng tiwala sa iba dahil akala mo meron silang motibo sa'yo na may balak silang patayin ka. Pag nakikita mo sila, parang iisipin mo agad na itong mga tao na to na nakakaranas ng personality disorder, ito yung mga tao na akala nila yung ibang tao ay may balak sa kanila. Papatayin sila agad, or sasaksakin, or may masamang motibo. Okay? Meron tayong dalawang uri ng personality disorder. Disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Okay, dito na tayo sa sexual deviance or aberration. One very important aspect in the study of criminal psychology is the cause of the behavior of sexual offenders. Sexual offenses are very common crimes committed against women and children by people, usually males, who are suffering from some form of mental disorder that affects their sexual behaviors, which leads them to commission of sex-related offenses. Okay, meron tayo dito sinasabi na paraphilia. When we say paraphilia, it is a medical or behavior science term for what is called referred to as sexual deviation, sexual anomaly, sexual perversion, or a disorder of sexual reference. Okay? We have some of the most common form from paraphilia. Number 1 is pedophilia. When we say pedophilia, deriving sexual gratification from engaging in sexual activities in children. Ito yung isang tao na nasasatisfy siya kapag nakipag-sex siya sa isang bata. When we say naman na exhibitionism, deriving sexual gratifications from one's exposing genitals in public. Ito naman yung mga tao na na-expose nila yung private part in public. Pinapakita nila yung mga private part nila in public. Ito yung mga taong tinatawag na exhibitionism. When we say fetishism, deriving gratification, he is sexual from specific objects. Examples are underwear, shoes, or pantyhose, or etc. When we say naman protourism, deriving sexual gratification from rubbing one's body against stranger. Ito yung mga tao na yung private part nila is parang dinidikit-dikit sa ibang tao. Nangyayari ito sa mga masisikip na lugar. Example sa jeep, bus, LRT. Okay, next, sexual masochism. Deriving sexual gratification from inflicting pain or humiliation to himself or by others, including autoerotic asphyxia during sexual intercourse. Ito naman yung mga tao na gusto nila, na nasasatisfy sila sa pain kapag nakikipag-sexual sila sa iba. Nakikipag-sex. Okay? When we say naman sexual sadism, it is deriving sexual gratification from inflicting pain or humiliation on others during sexual intercourse. Ito naman yung mga tao na nakikipag-sex na gusto nila yung sinasakal sila or gusto talaga nila yung nasasaktan sila. Okay. Meron din tayong transvestic fetishism. It is deriving sexual gratification from wearing clothing usually worn by other sex. Okay? Meron din tayong sinasabi na voyeurism or peeping. He is from sexual watching people undressing, dressing up, or having sexual intercourse with somebody else. Ito yung naninilip or pamboboso. When we say necrophilia or corpses, deriving sexual gratification from having sexual intercourse with a dead body. Ito yung isang tao na nakakaranas ng necrophilia. Ito yung sa puneralia, patay na bangkay. Okay? Sa embalsamo na ginagamit nila kay patay ng isang tao. And last, zoophilia are animals. He is from having sexual intercourse with animals, also called bestiality. Ito yung mga tao na may zoophilia, yung nasasatisfy nila yung sarili nila within sex with animals. Gaya ng aso, pusa, baboy, manok, or whatsoever. Okay? Okay, last na yan. Okay, hanggang dito lang. Thank you.
Magandang araw po, ako po si Jeff Limito ang magre-report po sa Chapter 9 Crime Typologies sa Chapter 9. Sa violence, we have the different crime. Unang-una po dito yung violence is the use of force exercised without excuse or justifiable cause to achieve a goal at the expenses of a victim. Violence po ay gumagamit ka po ng force o gumagamit ka ng physical force or maybe gumagamit ka ng threat para makuha mo yung gusto mo doon sa biktima. Murder, it is self-violence because it involves killing another person or destruction or loss of life. Murder is the unlawful killing of any person which is not parricide or infanticide, provided any of the enumerated circumstances is present. Ibig sabihin po ng parricide is killing of your mother or father or siblings. Basta pinatay mo yung part ng pamilya mo doon. Yung infanticide po, yung killing of a child less than 3 days old. Masasabi nating murder to kapag nag-commit ka ng unlawful killing sa isang tao na hindi babaksak sa parricide or infanticide. And we have 3 involved circumstances na use of a violence, which is treachery. Ibig sabihin din po na treachery ay pagka-traidor. Pag nag-traidor ka against doon sa victim, that's falls under the crime of a murder, or gumagamit ka ng superior strength or gumagamit ka ng armas para pumatay ng isang tao under murder. Yung by means of inundation, fire, poison, explosion, shipwreck, standing of a vessels, derailment or assault upon a railroad, fall of an airship by means or motor vehicle, or with the use of any other means involving great waste and ruin. Gumagamit din po tayo dito ng violence dyan. Sa cruelty naman po, deliberately and humanity augmenting the suffering or of the victim, or outraging of scoffing in his person of corpse. Gumagamit ka dito ng cruelty, sabihin violence. Gumagamit ka dito ng hindi makataong pagpatay o torture muna bago mo patayin yung biktima. And ito yung 3 uri ng mga circumstances na ginagamit ng violence against person. We have a different kind of murder. We have mass murders, pre-murder, and serial murder. Um, mass murder, mass murder from title itself, mass. So it's mean it's the killing of a person na maraming tao at one's location that begins of hour, usually with the death of the killer by suicide. Paano nga ba nagagawa na pumatay ng isang tao sa loob ng 2 minutes lang? Halimbawa po ay suicide bombing. Mass murder are divided into two types. Those who choose a specific target that killers believe to have caused them stress, and those who attack targets having no connection with the killer but who belongs to the group the killer dislikes, such as a prostitute. Spree murder is the killing of several people, different location, over a period of several days. The word of spree cannot polish or senseless behavior. Spree murder implies senseless killing done by a person. Both mass murder and spree murder are usually make impossible for the offender to kill several victims within a short period of time. Para po sila makapag-commit ng crime ay gumagamit po sila ng armas. Armas tulad po ng bomba, baril, yun po, at iba pa. Siyempre, para makapag-commit ka ng crime, ay meron kang ginagamit na baril tsaka bomba at iba pa. Yan yung ginagamit nila para makapatay ng maraming tao sa loob lamang ng kaunting oras. Serial murder is the killing of 3 or more victims over the extended period of time with a cooling off period in between kills. Serial murder, ito yung sunod-sunod na pagpatay ng isang tao, 3 o higit pa. Halimbawa, pumatay ka ngayon tapos pumatay ka bukas tapos papatay ka sa susunod ng araw. Ganun po. There are 4 broad types of serial killer: a visionary, mission-oriented, and hedonistic, and power control killer. Visionary serial killer. This type of serial killer, they are typically out of touch with the reality. Uri ng serial kadalasan sa kanila ay they having a mental disorder. Maybe they are psychotic or meron silang schizophrenia. They feel impelled. Nakakapatay sila ng maraming tao, maybe because may mga bagay sila na nakikita or nag-hallucinate sila, nakakita sila ng bagay na sila nakakita o nakakarinig sila ng mga boses sa sarili lang nila. He is the stereotypical dysfunctional loner. While mission-oriented serial killer, ito naman yung this type of serial killer feels it's their mission in life to kill certain kinds of people such as prostitute and homosexual. Ang title itself, mission-oriented, pakiramdam ng isang tao na mission nila na makapatay. Halimbawa, prostitute or homosexual, mission nila ay pumatay ng mga prostitute or mission nila na pumatay ng homosexual. So they do not have a vision or hear voice telling them to kill. They define their own undesirable and set out to eliminate as many as they can. Sa hedonistic serial killer naman, in this hedonistic serial killer, they are self-centered psychopath na kinoconsider nila life less important and sexual pleasure. Ginagawa nila dito, gumagawa muna sila ng sexual activities bago pumatay, para kasi sa kanila mas importante yung sexual pleasure nila kaysa sa buhay ng taong bibiktimahin nila. Yan yung hedonistic serial killer. Yung power control serial killer naman, Sexual activity involved din dito sa control serial killer or power killer katulad ng hedonistic serial killer frequently suffer from some form of sexual inadvocacy. Yung mutilation and physical injuries, yung mutilation naman po meaning they're cutting off the some part of the body, as in cutting off a finger or fingers, hand or arms, the ear or the penis. On the other hand, ayun po yung pagputol sa parte ng katawan isang tao. Yung physical injuries may be committed by wounding, beating, assaulting, or administering injuries substance. Ang physical injuries naman po ay ang sinaktan mo o binugbog mo yung isang tao. Yung injury substance naman po, ito yung halimbawa gumamit ka ng poison or gumamit ka ng chemical or other chemical substance na nag-cause ng physical injury, whether it is internal or external. Ano po? Rape. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation defines rape as the carnal knowledge of a female forcibly and against their will. Based on this definition, the victim of rape is always female. Every important element of rape is the use of physical force or violence by the offender against the female victim. Because of the natural difference in physical strength between males, offender to overpower the resistance of female. Para masabi pong rape, rape po yun kailangan po merong physical force o kahit ginagamitan ng physical force or violence by the offender against the victim. We have based on behaviors created a three-group rapist typology based partly on behavior exhibited at the time of the offense and the presumed motivation of the offender. This typology identifies three types of rapists: anger rapists, power rapists, and sadistic rapists. Anger rape, this type of rapist na nag-i-inflict siya ng more than physical violence. Yung power rapist naman po, ginagawa niya lang yun para mapatunayan na lalaki siya o nagko-consider talaga siya na sexual god. Naniniwala siya na ang babae mas masasayan pa sa pag-commit ng crime. Ang sadistic rapist naman po ay kadalasan ang ginagawa sa babae, tino-torture muna sa pamamagitan ng kung ano pang physical pain na ibinibigay sa babae bago pinapatay. In the Philippine setting, the crime of rape is defined and punished by RA number 8353, which amended the provision of the revised penal code on rape. RA 8353 took effect on October 22, 1997. According to the definition provided by Republic Act 8353, there are two ways of or manners of committing the crime of rape: rape through sexual intercourse and rape through sexual assault. And rape through sexual intercourse is committed when a man has sexual intercourse with a woman through the use of force, threat, or intimidation, or when the victim is deprived of a reason or otherwise unconscious, or by mean of fraudulent machination or grave abuse of authority, or when the victim is under 12 years of age of demanded. Yung rape through sexual intercourse naman po, ang lalaki ang offender, ang victim ang babae. nagkukomit ng sexual intercourse with the use of a force, ginagamit ng pwersa o takot laban doon sa babae, deprived result of otherwise unconscious. Ginagamitan niya na pagiging inosente para makandak yung sexual intercourse o para gamit yung authority para ma-take advantage si babae. Example, when the victim is 12 years old or 11 years old pababa, automatically that is rape. Ang tawag doon ay statutory rape. Kahit mag-consent ng babae na para makapag-sexual intercourse doon sa lalaki, basta 12 years old pababa, automatic that is rape. Sa rape through sexual assault, is committed when a man insert his penis into another person's mouth or anal orifice, or when a person insert any instrument or object into a genital or anal orifice of another person. Dito pwedeng maging ang offender dito ay lalaki at babae. Masasabi mong rape through sexual assault pag when a man ayun nga yung pag may when a man insert his penis into the another person's mouth or anal orifice, or when a person insert any instrument or object into the genital or anal orifice of another person. And ngayon sa terrorism, the term terrorism is difficult to define because it encompasses a wide range of meaning and complex activities, since there are no universally accepted definition for it. Different countries and government agencies have provided their own definition. The Federal Bureau of Investigation defines terrorism as the unlawful use of force or violence against person or property to intimidation or government, civilian population, or any segment thereof in furtherance of political or social goals. The U.S. Federal U.S. Department of Defense defines terrorism as the unlawful use of threatened use of force or violence against individual or property to coerce and intimidate government or societies, often to achieve political, religious or ideological objective. The U.S. Code defines terrorism as a legal violence that attempt to intimidate or coerce civilians or affect the conduct of a government by assassination or kidnapping. The U.S. State Department defines terrorism as premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetuated against non-combatant target by a subnational group or clandestine agent, usually intended to influence an audience. Despite the fact that there are many definitions available from different sources and authorities, it can be said that all definitions share the same element. Their common elements are ang terrorism is an act that is punishable by law. Ang terrorism ay gumagamit ng threat, force of violence, and intimidation or fear o nagbibigay ng takot sa tao at sa gobyerno. Ang terrorism, ang laging target niya ay ang government and civilians. Yung terrorism laging naniniwala sa political and religious ideologies, kaya sila nagkakandak ng terror dahil gusto nilang ma-implementasyon ng mga tao na sinasakop nila na kung ano ang paniniwala nila. It's either political or religious ideologies. Terrorism is motivated by desire to overturn those who are in power, have the in are in power and have them replaced by one of their own. Kunwari, si President Duterte gusto nilang pabain tapos papalitan ng isa sa kanila. Ayun yung gusto nila. Over the year, typologies of terrorism have been established to facilitate better understanding of it. Some of the most commonly discussed types are state terrorism, religious terrorism, criminal terrorism, international terrorism. Other typologies also include the ideological terrorism, nationalistic terrorism, state-sponsored terrorism, or revolutionary terrorism. With the current pace of the development of technology, it has become so much easier for terrorists to spread terror among people. What is being feared the most is the time when the terrorists would start using biological and chemical warfare as their weapon of choice. In the Philippine settings, the crime of terrorism punished by Republic Act 9372, otherwise known as the Human Security Act of 2007. Sa economic crime naman po is a crime committed to gain profit within an otherwise legal business. This definition includes tax evasion, fraud, and investment in otherwise legal corporation. Ang economic crime ay dito naman ginagamit nila yung illegal na paraan para kumita. And sa white collar naman, yung mga nagko-commit ng white collar crime, yung mga nakaposisyon sa high social status, halimbawa mga businessman or mga ginagamit as advantage yung estado or posisyon nila para ma-obtain yung money or profit and to obtain their business and consider illegal activities. Sa occupational crime naman, these crimes committed halimbawa doctor, lawyer, accountant, cashier, manager, even the law enforcement. They take advantage of their position, knowledge, and expertise of their position, knowledge, and the expertise, and use such position, knowledge, and expertise to commit a crime. Their crime, as the name of the note, involve the use of their profession and occupation. Corporate crime is a crime activity of a business organization committed during the course of fulfilling the legitimate role of the corporation in the name of corporate profits and growth. In all corporate crimes, the high-ranking business executive are the one who knowingly engage in unlawful act to secure maximum profit of their company. Sa corporate crime naman po, kadalasan na nagko-commit ay mga business organization. Sa corporate crime, yung mga high-ranking business executive lamang ang nakakaalam or ang engaged sa mga unlawful act. Siyempre, kaya nila ginagawa yan para mas maraming pera makuha ng kumpanya nila. Sa organized crime naman po, tulad lang din ng terrorism ng organized crime, ang maraming definition pero pare-pares lang ng characteristic or elements. Another type of crime that is difficult to define is organized crime. Attempt to define the terms organized crime have been met with only limited success and no generally accepted definition has emerged. as early as 1969 definition as formulated by Donald Creasy, which has adopted by the US Federal Bureau of Investigation. According to Creasy, an organized crime is any crime committed by a person copying in an established division of labor includes at least one position designed for the commission of crime, providing that such division of labor includes at least one position for a corrupter, one position for a corruptee, and one position for an enforcer. 70, the U.S. Department of Justice defined the term as illegal activities engaged in by by known, associate, and confederates of such member. Another definition of organized crime was introduced an international conference in Warsaw in 1988. It states that organized crime refers to the group activities of three or more persons with hierarchical link or personal relationship, which permit their leader to earn profits or control territories or market, internal or foreign, by means of violence, intimidation, or corruption, but furtherance or criminal activity, and infiltrate the legitimate economy. The other definition was introduced during the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, held in Palermo, Italy in 2000. It defined organized crime group as a structured group of three or more persons existing for a period of time and acting in concert with the aim of committing one or more serious crime or offense, and established in accordance with this convention in order to obtain directly or indirectly a financial or other material benefits. Some of the primary characteristics of organized crime are the following. Sa corporate crime yung mga sa organized crime po, kung sa terrorism po ay nagko-commit sila ng crime dahil po sa of their political or religious ideologies belief. Sa organized crime po, walang silang political or religious ideologies belief or social ideologies. Sa terrorism, kaya sila nagte-terrorize ng tao para magbigay takot sa government at sa civilian. Sa organized naman po is to gain money or profit through illegal activities. Sa terrorist, bumubuo ng grupo, pati rin po sa organized, bumubuo rin po ng grupo, but inherital, meaning sa organized, tsaka po sa organized crime po, malawak ang nagko-commit sila ng crime. Bumubuo sila ng maraming connection para mas lumawak pa o mas maipakalat yung mga illegal activities nila, at para mas mapadali nila maitago yung mga activities na yon. At yung mga activities na yung mga illegal activities nila is drug trafficking, prostitution, gambling, money laundering, racketeering, cyber sex, firearms trafficking, and human trafficking. Sa cybercrime or computer crime, cybercrime is the use of computer or technology to criminally victimize unwary individuals or group. There are many different forms of cybercrime. ranging from the use of the internet to steal identity information to destruction of whole computer network. The term cybercrimes, computer crime, and internet crime are used in ngayon po sa cybercrime or computer crime, marami na pong gumagawa niyan. Marami na po kasing taong gumagamit ng computer. Marami pong gumagawa ng crime, kumukuha sila ng impormasyon ng isang tao at tapos kinukuhanan po nila ng pera. Yung sa cybercrime naman po, ayun yung pinapakita mo yung katawan mo o pinapakita mo sa ibang tao yung katawan mo para kumita. Cybercrime is committed by a person who has a high level of knowledge and skills in the use of computer, both software and hardware, and other computer-related form or of technology, usually through the process called hacking. Hacking or computer hacking refer to the unauthorized and illegal accessing of computer network or system program and website with a malicious intent. Such act is done by a person referred to as a hacker. Hacker is someone who easily access someone else o computer system. Cybercrime naman po ay ito yung may mga taong magaling na sa computer, sila yung gumagawa ng virus tapos papakalat nila yon para makapagbiktima po sila ng tao. Tapos pag gagawa po sila ng virus or link, pag na-click nyo po yon, makukuha po nila lahat ng information nyo, yung bank account nyo, Facebook account nyo, lahat po. Ayan po. Identity theft is the use of someone else's personal information without their permission to fraudulently obtain goods and service. The most common purpose of identity theft is to have illegal access to an individual credit card account. Software piracy is the illegal copying and disputing of the software for free or for sale. Ito po yung sinabi ko kanina. Deterrence of cybercrime is more difficult than for the other type of crime. Due to its nature, computer provides a cheaper means to perpetrate damaging crime. In the Philippines, several laws have already been passed implemented to address the problem of cybercrime. The latest is the controversial Republic Act 10175, otherwise known as the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. However, this passage had to overcome a lot of protests from the different sector in society due to some of its prevention believed to be undemocratic and unconstitutional as of this writing. The implementation of our Republic Act 10175 is still suspended while it is still being reviewed by Supreme Court. Public order crime. The Philippines, the law that defines crime against the public order in the revised penal code under Title 3, Book 2. These crimes are discussed more in their legal context and are discussed lengthily in criminal law subjects. However, in the context of criminology, public order crime also refer to offense which have been called vice offense, consensual offense, victimless crime, or even nuisance offense. These crimes range from something as serious as the use and sale of dangerous drugs and prostitution to something as a minor or public disturbance due to excessive alcoholic consumption or public drunkenness. Ito po yung public order crimes. Ito yung mga nagko-commit ng crimes. Ito yung mga prostitution. Ayan. Yung mga to something tsaka yung alcoholic consumption of a public drunkenness. Ayan po yun. Yung sa dangerous drugs or illegal drugs naman po, the sale and use of dangerous drug is punished by the comprehensive dangerous drug. Sa dangerous drug or illegal drugs, Ito yung sa pinagbabawal na gamot o yung droga. Punished by the Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002 and Republic Act of 9165. Aside from selling and using dangerous, Republic Act 9165 also define other act involving dangerous drugs as a prohibited and therefore punishable. This include cultivation, dispensation, and manufacturing of prohibited drugs, among others. According to RA 9165, first-time offender for the crime of use dangerous drugs will not be prosecuted but will have to undergo drug rehabilitation in a government accredited healthy the facility. This is a keeping in the belief that drugs users are also victims and should be helped and saved. However, he will no longer be exempted from prosecution the next time he will be caught using dangerous drugs again. Prostitution. The crime of prostitution defined and punishable by Article 202 of the Revised Penal Code under Title 6 Crime Against a Public Moral, Chapter 2 Offense Against Decency and Good Customs. RPC defines a prostitute as a woman who habitually indulges in a sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct for money or profits. Hence, a woman prostitute can be arrested, prosecuted, and imprisoned for the crime of prostitute. The definition of the crime of the prostitution is supplemented by RA 9208, the Anti-Trafficking in Person Act of 2003. However, RA 9208 is aimed at punishing those people who commit the crime of trafficking in person and not necessarily the prostitute, because on basis of the definition of the crime trafficking in person, the prostitute is considered as a victim and not as an offender. Yung kadalasan kasi iba sa prostitute is biktima lang din, kaya nila nagawa yun dahil sa estado ng buhay nila, kaya kailangan nilang kumapit sa patilim para may mabuhay sa pamilya. Ang totoong offender talaga dito yung nagpubugaw sa kanila. Ayun nga yung public disorder. Public disorder is defined and punished by the Revised Penal Code under Title 3 Crime Against Public Order, Chapter 5 Public Disorder, Article 155 Alarm and Scandal. According to Article 155 or 115, the penalty for alarm and scandal shall be imposed upon any person who will wandering about at night or while engaged in any other public nocturnal amusement shall disturb the public peace, and any person who will intoxicated or otherwise shall cause a disturbance or scandal in public. Ito yung mga nag-iingay pa sa gabi. Siguro ito yung mga nagkakaraoke pa. So, karaoke pa. At yun lang lamang po at maraming salamat.
Chapter 10, Introduction to Criministic. Ang kalaman daw sa criministic ay isa sa pangunahing kakayahan sa larangan ng criminology dahil ito ay saklaw sa kriminolohiya sa pag-aaral ng iba't ibang bahagi o larangan ng kriminolohiya. Criminalistic. Ito ay isang sangay ng forensic science kung saan kasama rito ang personal na pagkailanlan, litrato ng pulisya, forensics, ballistic, mga kwestiyon sa pagsusuri ng dokumento, polygraphy at legal na kagamutan. Dactyloscopy. Pagkailanlan sa pamamagitan ng mga fingerprints. Dactylography. Pag-aaral tungkol sa fingerprints at pagkailanlan nito. Fingerprints. Ang Chinese naman ang unang gumamit ng fingerprints upang matukoy ang pagkailanlan. Hand gross. Ang salitang criminalistic daw ay pinakilala ng nagmula kay Hans Gross, na mas kilala bilang father of criminalistic. Si Edmund Locard naman ay kilala bilang the father of forensic science. Forensic science ay tinutukoy bilang aplikasyon ng agham sa batas. Marcelo Magpigi naman ay kilalang bilang grandfather of dactyloscopy. Henry System. Ang Henry System naman ay ginagamit sa fingerprint sa pag-uuri ng ginagamit ito ng FBI sa USA at ng NBI at PNP dito sa Pilipinas. Mayroon ding 8 uri ng fingerprints ng plain arch, pente, 5 arch, ulnar loop, radial loop, plain wolf, central pocket loop, double loop, word, at accidental loop. Police photography. Ito ay hango sa salitang Griego na pos na ang ibig sabihin ay light at grapos na ang ibig sabihin ay right. At ang chemical ng resulta ng pagkuha ng litrato ay isang photograph o litrato na nabubuo sa pamamagitan ng paggamit ng camera. Police photography. Mayroon ng 3 kalahati na namumuhulan ng mga print o theory ng mga principle individuality. Pangalawa, ang principle permanently or constantly. At pangatlo, ang principle infallibility. Forensic ballistic ay ang pagsusuro ng ebidensya na may kaugnay sa mga baril na gamit sa pinangyarihan ng krimen. Projectile. Ito ay tumutukoy sa anumang metal na eyeball na tinutukoy mula na sa isang baril. Firearm ay isang instrumento na ginagamit para sa propulsyon ng projectile sa pamamagitan ng malawak na pwersa ng gas na nagmumula sa nasusunog na pulbura. 4 branches of ballistic. Una ay ang interior na internal ballistic, pangalawa ang interior or internal ballistic, pangatlo ang terminal ballistic, at ang panghuli ang forensic ballistic. Question documents examination. Sanga ay criminalistic kung saan sinusuri ang pagsusuri ng kamay, typewriting at ang lagda o pirma. Documents ay anumang material na dokumento o bahagi ng napapailalim sa tanong tungkol sa pagiging tunay na kung ano ang totoo. Polygraph. Forgery ay ang paggawa ng pagbabago ng isang instrumento o dokumento na mayroong haring manloko. Three major types of forgery signature. Uri ng pagkakilala ng peking mga lagda. Una, ang simple forgery. Pangalawa, ang simulated forgery at ang trace forgery. Thomas Jefferson
ay ang unang gumamit ng salitang polygraph para ilarawan ang isa sa mga kanyang imbensyon. Three of major parts of polygraph. Una, ang phenomenology na nagtatala ng mga pagbabago sa pattern na paghinga ng tao. Pangalawa, galvanography na nagtatala ng pag-iibo ng balat o pagpapawis ng isang tao. At panghuli, cardiopulmonograph na nagtatala ng pagbabago ng blood pressure at pulse rate ng isang tao. Legal medicine ay isang sangay na medisina na tumatalakay sa paglalapat ng kaalamang medikal sa mga layunin ng batas at sa pangangasiwa ng hustisya.